accidentally put the end of my correction tape in the water. Don't mind me. No! The water dripped into my...
Hey guys! Welcome to the channel. To round up the bullet journal month that has been August, here's the plan with me for September. So let's get into it. This month's theme is kind of like a 60s, 70s travel and Polaroids thing. Going off of the original idea for this year's themes, I'm gonna feature aesthetics that really represent the different sides of me and things that I personally like. I only realized recently that I have a love for vintage things but only very specific vibes. I've always wanted to take Polaroid pictures, but I get super conscious about each photo costing about 50 pesos, so I just thought to make it a spread, so no spending. The inspiration of this is more of traveling around in an RV with your camera and taking photos of the places you've been. This entire spread is also gonna have colors that I don't really use that often, which should help give my bullet journal a lot of variety. So this is actually the first time I've decided to make a cover without sketching it before recording, but I did look through my own collection of stickers to look for more things that would fit the look. I traced around each sticker that I wanted to add and manually draw a box around it so that it looks like Polaroid film. The big squares are actually just pieces of paper that I bought that have a bunch of these collages, with a lot of them having that vintage feel. I got these to contrast with the vaporwave kick that I'm on. I decided to stick the papers with some double-sided tape since I didn't want the glue stick to possibly wet the paper, causing it to warp. The smaller squares are just stickers I got in a set of stickers spanning different eras. It's also the same set of stickers as the ones that I used my 50s spread. Then I traced around the squares, making it look like a Polaroid. I cut the big yellow paper in such a way that it looks like another photo overlaps the bigger one. When the left side's done, I start on the other side. I use my ruler and my mild liners to start outlining the main background detail of the cover. I'm making it out of gold, brown, and vermilion if you're curious. I make sure to have the tracing lines on the inside of the part I'm gonna color so it won't skew my sketches. Using the chisel tip of the mild liners, I color in the shapes I outlined earlier. That's when I add the outline on the big Polaroid. The black outline should help me hide when the coloring goes outside of the lines. To help give the spread more life, I take the same colors and make a drop shadow on the right side of the Polaroids. I also take mild cyan and use that for the Polaroid on top of the stripes, which should bring in some of the blue of the sticker on the left. For the month label, I have the sketch prepared on a separate piece of paper. I wanted it separately since it's gonna be hard going around the curves of the text while making the stripes on the cover. I outline the text with the orange, then color it in. Then to add that vintage feel, I go around the text with blue, brown, then yellow. I cut the text out of the paper, following the contours of the letters, but also making sure to leave some white space around the edges so that it can stand out on the cover despite being the same color as the main stripes. That's just stuck onto the page with some double-sided tape. I do my usual type of spread for the monthly. I mark out the top with some washi tape. I'm using yellow in this case since it's the lightest color I can use. Then I get my vintage pens to make the calendar itself. For certain spreads, I like using the Muji pen. Sometimes I like using the vintage pens. I'm using the vintage pens in this case since the vintage pens give a more muted color, which I really need for a more chill spread compared to the brightness of the setup and the super colorful August spread. I'm using orange in this case since it would work well with the yellow tape. To make sure that the numbers are seen, I made the numbers on top of the boxes with a brown pen. During my initial sketches, I forgot that September doesn't have the 31st and that I didn't have to extend the calendar all the way to the end, so I forgot to erase that part. I already went over it with a pen. Good thing I have a separate piece of paper from the cover. I measured that out to the size I need and sketched the title on it again using the cover as a reference. This time, I color it in with blue, then yellow, then orange. Since this label is a bit smaller than the one on the cover, I didn't want to use all four colors. That's just stuck onto the page with some more double-sided tape. For the rest of the decorations, I draw some lines with a pencil, then color them in as fun stripes. Since the top was looking real empty, I made the same type of lines up there too, but I flipped the color order. I thought it would make it look like the color was folded diagonally to make it look like that. It was easy enough to color it in using the chisel tip. I also add a drop shadow to the calendar itself so that it looks like the Polaroids on the cover. Since I'm getting real tired of waiting for my gel pen ink to take forever to properly dry on washi tape without smudging, I take an ultra fine tip Sharpie that I've had for a while and use that to make the day labels on top. Since I don't have my subjects yet, I'm gonna go leave the color code section blank for now. Now on to the weeklies. My classes are starting on September 17th, so it's back to the time-based spreads for me. It's something that I really need to have when I have class. During my break, I can deal with the free-flowing to-do list of stuff that I need to do for the day. But when I have classes to get to, this type of weekly really helps. I start with the corner calendar that tells me what week we're on. It's just super simple with gold as the highlight color, blue for the top, and brown for the numbers. Then I make the box on the bottom of the calendar. This is just for notes section and the watch list that I'm gonna have, which is gonna be huge considering how many shows I'm watching this anime season. I make the time part of the time spreads with the yellow pen. It just spans my normal time frame of 8 a.m. to midnight. The top is too small to really have those Polaroids, so I take some inspiration from my JoJo spreads and make those stripes on top like I've been doing for the other parts. Then instead of getting a font that matched with the 70s style, I just wrote it with my normal handwriting. I really wanted to make this spread super simple since I know I'm going to be swamped with work once the semester starts, so I think my own schedule is going to do the decorating for me. So the days are blue and the numbers on top are in a light brown. I really like changing the main colors idea from the previous month, so I'm doing it here in a different way. So I'm just shuffling around the pen colors I use for the different parts of the spread. And while I do that, it's my usual Plan With Me story time. Before I start on the life updates and stuff, thank you so much guys for 200 subscribers! I'm just so thankful that you guys like my videos enough to subscribe. I started my channel last year as a hobby where I can talk about the things that I like doing. If I remember correctly, my first video was uploaded on August 23, 2020, and that's exactly a year from the week before this video is supposed to be posted. I think that might have sounded odd. But yeah, my goal for the year is to reach 100 subs and you guys just went for it. We reached 100 in May and somehow we managed to double that in 3 months. So I just really want to thank you guys again for subscribing and for all the supportive comments. I love answering the comments because they make me feel so connected and knowing that people are actually watching the videos I make. It's such a grateful feeling. I have a lot of fun video ideas in the works and I hope you guys stick around and see where this insanity goes. In other good news, I have a course. I got accepted into one of the courses I applied for. So yeah, I'm not gonna be a non-major anymore. Finally, after 2 long years of GEs, I'll tell you guys more about it and what it is when the shifting is finalized and I can actually take classes. I've also been hinting at this for a while, but I will do a full non-major story video once I get all the details ironed out. Right now, I'm still on my break, and as I said a while ago, my classes start on the 17th. Break for me doesn't really mean break in the normal sense where I just roll around in my bed for most of the day. I do wake up a little later than I used to. I sleep in until 9, then I go to work on the stuff that I need to work on. My current things to do are mostly channel and org related with some other stuff on the side. Let's start with org stuff. If you've been following these story times recently, you would know that I got a council position in my org. It's the head of marketing committee. I can't really disclose the exact things I'm doing since I need to keep some information confidential, but I can tell you guys what the committee does and some super general things that I do as part of it. Marketing is basically the part of the org that contacts companies and asks if they want to partner with the org. Aside from selling things themselves, this is the way that the org gets money from their projects. My job is emailing them and negotiating about prices and benefits for both parties. Benefits can be like having the company's logo on your poster, and some companies are willing to pay for that. So now most of my org work time is being spent revising partnership packages, emailing potential sponsors, and setting up contracts. I think that's as much as I can tell you guys without revealing some confidential parts. I'm also working on another project for the org that doesn't really involve my work as marketing head, but that's still ongoing, so maybe I'll tell you guys about it when I've gotten a result. Another thing I've been doing is channel stuff. I want to finish as many videos as possible to prepare myself for the hectic readjustment for class. There's a new Notion video coming up soon, so I'm trying to make a general outline ready for that, and I would still need to figure out how I'm going to make the template that's easy to use and looks nice. It's also felt like forever since I made a craft for the channel, so I'm thinking about how to do that too. A lot of ideas are swirling in my head for how I could go about that. I've been enjoying playing Minecraft a lot more. I used to dread collecting resources right before recording a new session for the video, but now I find it strangely therapeutic. I just put on a video or some music and I just go fill up some shulker boxes. For more fun things I've been doing, I've been insane when it comes to crocheting lately. I started by crocheting small plushies and moved on to making slightly smaller items like coasters, then bigger items like bandanas and my mushroom beret, and after a while I decided to crochet a top, which you can guys see in the video I'm posting next week. Ever since then, I really wanted to make more items of clothing. I finished a puffy cardigan for my sister within a week and a half. I'm working on 2 more tops and a cardigan for myself, but I ran out of yarn for those and I still need to buy more. Just call it my preparation for physical classes resuming. I can get a bunch of new stuff for my wardrobe, but also make it into a relaxing hobby that would take up some time. I'll show you guys the stuff I've crocheted when I have the time. And with that, let's go back to the spreads. Just like the cover, I had an idea for the habit tracker, but didn't prepare a sketch beforehand, so I'm doing that now. It's basically gonna be a bunch of Polaroids with the calendar on the photo part of it. Then the label of what that habit is gonna be written on the space on the bottom like those captions people put on actual Polaroids. This is pretty difficult since I had to draw the Polaroids at different angles without having the dots on the page to guide me. Each box is 3.5 by 3 centimeters with a half centimeter border on the top and the sides. But I just estimated how much space to put on the bottom. I just needed to make sure that I had at least 6 Polaroids per page. Just to add something extra, I also get one of my stickers and make it into another Polaroid for some more color and variety. Then I do the sketching for the other side of the page. No extra sticker for this one since I'm gonna have the page title on this side. Speaking of the title, I had a hard time trying to get the right proportions for the title, so I did my reliable but time-consuming technique of making myself a printed stencil. For my non-calligraphers out there who want to have cool writing on their titles, you can use this if you can spare the time, paper, and ink. I just print the word in the size and font that I need and cut the letters out of paper with a cutter. Then it's an easy trace onto the page. I colored this one in with brown, then orange, then yellow, then blue. Since it's a big label like the one on the cover, I chose to use all 4 colors. Then I just cut that out and get that ready on the page. I trimmed the sticker so that it looks like another photo is on top of it, then I outlined certain boxes. I thought it would look pretty boring if I just had the same type of white Polaroids on the page when there's 13 of them. So I'm coloring some of them in to give it the variety it needs. Then I outlined the normal white ones with my black pen. When it comes to the numbers, I chose a light brown for the colored Polaroids because the normal ones will have colored calendars. Since only one of them actually fits the dot grid, I had to estimate where to place the numbers. I did that by marking where the dots are supposed to go in that direction by putting a line every half centimeter. Then I used my ruler as a way to line up what I'm gonna write. I had to go from right to left so that I could write with the numbers more comfortably. When it comes to making the colored calendars, I do the same thing and I just assign the colors where I think it looks nice. I use a chisel tip to color in the Polaroids that I already outlined, and the chisel tip makes it so much easier to lay down an even layer of color. This is actually one of the few times where I've made a spread using only my mild liners. I don't recall any previous spread that's used exclusively mild liners since I usually use my super tips as well. And for the labels, I take a wider black marker and just write in all caps. I thought it would give it that kinda rushed but sentimental Polaroid note vibe. When I could think of a little doodle to put, I just put it on there to really add the look I'm going for. To finish off this spread, I start sketching a vintage Polaroid camera from references on my laptop. Then I just ink the sketch. Still going with my mild liners, I color in the camera. I even have that kinda rainbow going down from the lens. And that finishes off the habit tracker. For the exercise and sleep tracker, I've been using the same design since my first monthly spread, so it's super easy to make. It's just a box that I make designs around. So for this version of it, I use yellow for the dates, orange for the count of stuff I'm tracking, and blue for the boxes around them. Decorating this is always the hardest part of the plan with me since I've already established the design and somehow I need to make that fit in whatever spaces I have left. All my stickers were just too big, so I looked at my papers and decided to cut one of the photos out. Something I was sure to add was the stripes that I've done so many times on the other spreads. Then I go take another look through my papers and look for parts of them that would look nice as a standalone photo. When I've cut all the ones I want out, I stick them onto the same bond paper I've been using for the titles. Then I just have to trim them to size. Since all the photos are very neutral colors, I make another stripe on the left side to accent the page. The top labels are just written normally in the color that wasn't on the stripes. Then all that's left is to stick on the Polaroids. And there's a wallpaper for this one too, so let's hop on over to that. I really wanted to make my own version of the reference photo on the left side, so I have my color palette on the side as usual, and it basically uses about the same colors I used for the spread. It's very blocky with the colors and really helps to simplify the design. My original idea was to have something like an outdoor concept where it's a field of grass where you're camping out, but since I got the idea for the Polaroids of travel places, I kind of went with a road trip look. The Beetle wasn't really my vibe. I wanted an RV since it would be the best one to show that 70s style with the stripes like I have on my spreads. I kept the same color as the Beetle on the reference illustration since it pops so well. I take the RV reference and just make a version of it using some shapes and the pen tool to just bulk out the main body. The best way I thought to make the wheels was to just layer a bunch of different size circles to make the lines. Then a slightly darker beige to make the outlines for the door. But to set them apart, I make the windows themselves to be a dark blue. Then I add a shadow on the bottom of the sleeping area on top of the driver's seat going down so it looks like it's offset from the rest of the body. Then I make 2 windows on the front as well. I picked this reference since I really like the stripe design on the side, but I thought it would be cool if I flipped the design over and instead of a W, it looked like an M since, Maisie. Then I just add the extra stripe on top. I had this idea of a late 60s, early 70s look with the stripes from the RV as well as some flowers on the van itself. I decided to make like a jawbreaker looking layered flower design, but after trying to make it into a flower shape, it looked too peacock-like and weirdly proportioned. So I looked for some simpler designs and I found these on the internet. I measured directly on the photo to get the right proportions of the flower, but then just change up the colors to fit my theme. When making them into the flower shape, I kinda need to tweak it here and there to make sure that they go in the right direction. I changed up the colors of the ones I already used and put them on the back too. I didn't want to cover the RV in flowers, but I wanted to have just enough of them there to look intentional. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the rest of the wallpaper yet, so I started on the title already. I took a cue from the reference and got a very bubbly script. It was pretty cool that these came with glyphs for some extra fun. Then for the title design, I'm going with the technique that many of you would have seen on other videos of the channel. I make a 3D drop shadow extension thingy for the text, but this time I add a bunch of layers. To get that sunset look for the balance on the bottom, I have yellow, orange, and red as the shadow colors. For the ocean details, that's just some random squiggles inspired by the original illustration. I add the calendar on the sun so I wouldn't forget where it is. It's the same font as the title, but it's in a more blue-black color. The original illustration had palm trees by the shore, but I don't think that's the vibe I'm going for, especially since I already came from a summary spread. But I would really like some blacked out shapes so it doesn't look empty. I settled on making small lampposts to really hone in on that road trip vibe that I wanted. So here's the final wallpaper in my spreads. I hope you guys like this video. I'm working on a bunch of things right now, so I wanted something a bit more chill but still has a cool feel to it. I really like approaching my spreads with a concept and it really helped me conceptualize how I want the spreads to look. What do you guys think of the spreads? Any suggestions for monthly themes? Leave them in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this from me, then hit the subscribe button and the bell to know when new videos out. I try to upload every week, Monday nights at 8. I guess that's all for this video. Bye guys!